everybody, and welcome to Pretty Little Liars, the after show here on the theStreamtv fan show network. I'm your host, Sinead de Vries, and I'm joined by my pretty little talkers. I'm already stressed out, you guys, because we're getting ready to talk to you all about your theories and give you some of our own. We are so ready to get some insight and get to the bottom of this. Joining us tonight, we have Ashley. Woo.
Meghan. I felt like I was studying for the SATs. Like, that's how much I dove into this. It was horrible.
And Stephanie,
who was late today because I was too busy looking up theories before I got to the stream.
Yes. It's been really crazy to get online following the season finale, I think, and really see where everybody's mind's at. I honestly think that a lot of people are thinking the same way, which is really, like, weird to me because I feel like we have so many different directions we could go. But, like, maybe we should start trusting that we're all kind of, like, starting to think the same things. Like, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't know. I don't think that we're all, I mean, I think some groups of us are thinking the same thing and others aren't. I am not on the Ren is Charles train at all. And I've seen that a lot. And Charles is someone that we know really well. It's not Wesley, it's not Ren. I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay, no, I absolutely agree with that.
Mm-hmm. I feel like people are starting to divide on their theories, and promotion for Jessica Hickam. She writes for a blog, She Knows, or magazine, and these are literally the theories, and I think she hit every single one that everyone is talking about. First, Jason DiLaurentis twin, right? We've seen that. Mm-hmm. Second, transgender character. Yes. We've totally seen that. Third, Bethany, people are saying, and that kind of goes along with the transgender thing, but it could not. Lucas, Cece. This is all things Cece is short for Charles. I've heard that.
Yeah.
And Ren. And Charles isn't a DiLaurentis, and that's just like tricking everyone. Yeah. And he just like is so obsessed with the DiLaurentis family that now he's just like, I'm DiLaurentis. And there's two more. Andrew's working with A. Obviously, we know this is probably true. And then Charles is further connected to the liars than just through Allie. And I think she was like pretty much spot on.
Yeah.
I feel like that's all of them.
Well, I think that the thing is with that, especially, is finding holes in all of these theories. And that's why none of us can come to a conclusion, because we have all these great ideas, but there are things missing. There's very important characters missing, there's information missing, and there's things that don't add up. So either ABC Family is literally messing with us, don't you think? They're messing with us and giving us false information to throw us off, or somebody is just like, the way that they're saying things is not actually what they mean, all this stuff. But like, let's get right into it. We're gonna go ahead and just take a question and we can discuss, because I feel like this is one that we haven't seen as much, but this comes from @_ABCFPLL. And she wants to know if we think that maybe Charles could be Spencer's brother. Now, this could go into a theory, obviously the Jason being twins with Charles thing, but she had also tweeted me just a little bit before that saying, why was it that Spencer is always the one that gets so close to A? Right. And I guess like that really opens up this whole possibility that the reason why they keep coming so close together is because the connection between A and Spencer is even bigger than the connection between A and Jason. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. But then again, it could also just because who's like the smartest and the kind of wittiest is probably Spencer. So it's like you can refute that too.
My mom came up with this like crazy theory. I was literally in the car like coming here, and I was like going over my theories with her, and she's like, what if? I'm like, oh, seriously, Mom? But it kind of, you know, it got me thinking. So your point, Spencer is always the one that seems to be one step ahead. Now, that night when they were at the prom and Spencer came up with the whole like picture thing and the lights needed to go out for the electricity to go out, did the girls really ever see Charles come forward? Like, Spencer said now, and that's when Aria was like, okay, and she flashed the camera, but what if Charles was like a figment of Spencer's imagination? Because when she went into the vault and she sees Charles, but then Mona comes in and he's gone. And it's like, could someone I mean, yeah, it's A. They could escape that quickly, but it almost seemed a little bit like Sixth Sense-ish. Like,
I love that.
He's here 1 second, he's not. I mean, of course,
she's had mental instability before.
That brings up a whole nother can of worms. But I do think that Charles is related to Mr. Hastings, and I actually think Mr. Hastings is the father of Jason, Charles, and Allison.
Ooh, okay.
I like that,
You threw me
but
for a loop there.
I do, and I'll back it up.
also, just really fast to back up that point, that could have to do with whole Mr. Hastings and Melissa, like, knowing stuff, the Hastings family secrets, that phone call. It's just way, like, Mr. Hastings
Right.
for sure knows what's
And
up.
when the Hastings finally found out about A, and there was those boxes, that look that Mr. Hastings gave Mrs. Hastings, like no more secrets. He
That's what I'm
seemed a
talking
little bit scared. And originally I thought that picture was Jason, Charles, and Spencer, but apparently there's this picture that People Magazine had posted or something. So that's a pretty reliable source if it said, and it said that that was Allie, Jason, and Charles. So that kind of weren't my own theory.
Can we talk about that screenshot for a quick second? Just because it's going to come up again?
Absolutely. ABC Family had apparently tweeted, allegedly, if you will, tweeted a picture of Andrea Parker behind the scenes with those two boys.
I think it was supposed to be not behind the scene. I think it was supposed to be like a clip from the video that we saw.
Right, like it was, right. Yeah, so of the video of her with the two boys.
Right.
And holding the baby, and it says Mrs. DiLaurentis, Jason, Allison, and ... Charles. The A in Charles is a capital A. And we're now saying, like, we had all these different theories on who the baby was, who that little boy was, who the other little boy was. Like, I had heard theories that it was, like, nobody that, like, was even on the show in that episode. Like, but now if ABC Family is saying that it is Mrs. D, Jason, Charles, and Allison, do we believe that? Do we trust that?
No, because get this, you guys. Right after that, there was another post, another tweet by Marlene who said, freaking, as long as one of them isn't actually Charles, they're pretty cute. And then now I'm all over the place thinking I thought that was for sure right, and then Marlene
I
sounded
think
like
that
she
was just a
undid that.
joke. I think she was just kidding around, like, as long as one of them isn't Charles.
I mean,
like,
I wish I
was
would've
she?
seen.
Well, you know what? Even going with that, Andrea Parker had also tweeted a picture, and she said, "Those are the days where did I go wrong?" # Charles, you
Right,
naughty
it's
boy.
so true, yeah.
It's like very obvious. They want us to know that it's Jason, somebody that's a baby, and Charles. We have to keep going though because this one's really good. This one comes from @PLL_PLLAS fan, asking, are Varjack and A the same person? And now we really have to remember that there are a lot of things that were leading up to the season finale that we never ever touched on again once we got to the finale. The Varjack thing I thought was going to lead us to the answer, honestly. Like the episode before the season finale and 2 episodes before the season finale, it was like everybody wanted to know who Paul Varjack was. That number, obviously, that matched the number with the Sarah Harvey ad. All of these things kind of were just forgotten in the season finale, and it was all about Charles DiLaurentis.
Yeah.
So what the heck do you guys think? What happened to Varjack?
Well, the reason why I think, I don't know if Steph's on the same page with me, but I honestly,
FYI, none of us talked about our theories to each other. We all came up on this.
That's because we didn't have any.
we were like, okay, I honestly, if I'm gonna pick one person to be A, or Charles, I think it's Ezra. I've been suspicious of him ever since, like, he basically had that same TV lair that they had in the dollhouse. But anyways, oh my God, what was the, Varjack. Sorry, I do it all the time. So I think Varjack comes into play and it makes Ezra look really suspicious to me because of the whole, he's into reading, and he compared Allison to Holly Golightly, and what am I saying? But
No,
you
but
know
yeah,
what I mean?
Ezra, okay, so I think it's Ezra too, which we did not plan, but I think it's Ezra too, but the reason is because, first of all, things that were weird started happening when he joined the show, season 1.
Right.
Second of all, I know this is going to sound really dumb, but if any of you guys watched Gossip Girl, this may be before your guys' time.
I
but
watched
it's
it religiously.
Totally not
I've
before
seen
our
the
time.
entire show like 6 times on
Yes.
Netflix.
So what happened at the end of Gossip
Don't
Girl?
tell me I just started to watch it on Netflix.
Oh,
Don't
no.
tell me.
my God. So
Okay, but this
sad.
is important. Okay, so plug your ears, because this is a...
No, that's awful. Don't give it away. Seriously, it's the best
my
show
gosh,
ever.
spoiler
No.
alert,
great. Okay,
spoiler
Just
alert,
use
spoiler
different
alert.
words. Use different words.
No, it's important.
I'm so stressed out.
Okay, just plug your ears, Mova. Okay, so basically, the person who ended up being Gossip Girl was Dan, and Dan was Serena, the lead girl's most important boyfriend. So I feel like it's gonna be the exact same thing for Pretty Little Liars, and it's gonna be Aria's main squeeze, which is Ezra. So that's why I feel like that's a common thing that makes fans happy.
The only thing that gets me so,
Sorry.
what if Charles is the product of Mrs. de Laurentiis and Alison too. Like, that doesn't make any sense because that would mean that they're related.
And I feel like they're trying way too hard to show us that Charles is a de Laurentiis in order for it to be Ezra.
It would be really cool though if Ezra was just doing this all for a book, like literally screwing with the girls and like this would be an amazing ending to the book. He invites them to this lair, and it would be like such a climactic ending for his book.
Or he could be an illegitimate child of, like we were talking about, Mr. Hastings and Mrs. D. And let's say she gave him up for adoption. He was the first one. She didn't want Kenneth to find out. Ezra. Let's pretending Charles is Ezra, pretending Charles is A.
Yeah, but then Charles, like, Ezra's older than them, or is he the same age?
No, he's older. So let's pretend that he was the first illegitimate child. That's why Mrs. D was freaking out. And she's like, gotta give this one up for adoption. She gives him up for adoption. He gets messed up. He's going from foster home to foster home. And then he finds the rich family. He finds out that he's really a de Laurentiis. He becomes obsessed with the de Laurentises. And then he's like, oh, well, I want to be an Ivy League person
but he
like
hooked
Jason,
up with Allison.
It just makes sense.
He hooked up with Allison, remember? So that means that he would be hooking up with his half-sister.
That was the thing that I thought, yeah, it's like incestual.
No.
Except, did we see him making out with her?
No, but they both said that they did. They had a thing. He was board shorts, remember?
Well, this was
that's the biggest. He was board shorts.
Yeah, he was board shorts.
Because I heard a big theory online, a big theory going on around right now, is that Charles could potentially be board shorts and Allie's baby.
Yeah, I heard that.
A really weird theory that's been
I heard that. Going along with the Ezra thing, one last question from Twitter, and I feel like this was a really good part of the finale we didn't even talk about, but what do you think that the guy with the gas mask is? Can it be Ezra? And that comes from @Rainbow for Miley, basically asking, back in season, I don't know if it was 3 or 4, when they first discovered that Allison was still alive, and they went to Rosewood, remember? They saw this figure with a gas mask on, and then Ezra came up behind the girls, and that was right before the Ezra is A reveal.
Okay.
And what I wanted to talk about was the gas mask in the season finale. We never ever figured out why A had given Mona a gas mask. It said, because you're my favorite, which led us to believe that he was potentially planning on gassing the place, poisoning them, and Mona was gonna survive as Allison, right? That was what we have to keep reminding ourselves. It was never Mona, it was always Allison. In A's mind, this person that we all know is Mona was Allison. So it was Allison and the 4 liars. They wanted, whoever they are, wanted Allison to survive and wanted the liars to go away. And that can all come down to the fact that whoever A is obviously cares a hell of a lot for Allison and is actually not out to get her, but is there to protect her, which why this whole brother thing would be a very interesting thing, because remember Marlene had said it's not about who A is, it's about why A is.
Right.
And we all think that A is this evil, evil person, but like if it ended up being that A from the beginning of this entire show was literally just trying to help Allison, and they were able to make that, like, make it make sense for us. Cool. I feel like it would be really, really cool for all of their crazy antics to be completely justified.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
There's just like so many theories. Like, I thought, I was rewatching a bunch of episodes and I forget, I think this was the season 4 finale, but there was a scene where, right before Melissa admits, like she whispers over to Mr. Hastings, there was a scene where Mr. Hastings saw Jessica de Laurentiis and he said, we still have our deal, right?
Yes.
And Mrs. D said, I just found out that my daughter's still alive. I'm trying to deal with that. And then Mr. Hastings goes over to the couch and he's like, I did everything I could to protect her. At the time, we thought or assumed he was talking about Spencer.
That's right.
I'm wondering if Mr. Hastings did also, like, is the father of Allison. He meant her. I did everything I could to protect her. I did everything I could to keep her away, to keep her out of Rosewood, like something along the lines of that. And I also think, sorry, I gave so much thought. I also think that Mrs. de Laurentiis is the Black Widow. And the word widow means her husband died.
Right.
So I'm wondering if, like, that is part of the storyline, too.
I want to talk about my theory. The top of our theory.
Yes, we're going to take a break really quick, but we'll be back and we're going to give you guys some of our theories that we hopefully can make sense of. All right, guys, so stick around. We'll be right back.
just in case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live.
Just in case you missed it live.
Oh, just in case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live, I'm doing something right now.
So we're all super excited.
So
this is dancing.
So what would that be, like a 7?
I cannot. I literally cannot. You guys have got to get it together.
Don't hate the player, don't hate the game. Hate the contract you didn't get.
He's a coward. He's a giant chicken shit.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna be like hurricane. Whoa.
Watch out for those girls. They are gagging them.
Hold the phone.
Hold on.
Bro.
The more brutal you are, the more power you have.
Right.
That was sexy, it was hot, it was heated, I was into it.
You are gonna be the most high-paid hooker in the world.
Go ahead and invite your friends and everybody. Tell your mama, tell her don't go ahead and turn the stove off and get up on the computer so we can get on theStream.tv.
Thank you again for joining us, and until next week, bye-bye.
Oh, hello. All right, guys, we're back and we're ready to talk to you guys about some of our theories. You're gonna have to bear with us, okay? Because we all thought we were onto something really like great and grand. I literally thought I had figured out who A was like 47 times, and the very first time when I thought I figured it out, I almost died. Like, I almost went into cardiac arrest and passed out on my floor. And then literally 2 seconds later, I was like, that makes no sense. What
I think
was
we've
I
all
even
been
thinking?
there.
I keep like getting to like one thing and I'm like, wait, that doesn't work out because this happened.
Right.
But it's annoying because
So-
every single thing will make sense except for one thing,
Yeah.
but that one
Right.
thing is important enough to like undo your entire theory.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't know how, I was telling these girls earlier, we're all group texting. I'm like, honestly, I don't know how the hell everybody is so confident. Like, what makes you so confident?
Yeah.
Because you don't know.
You don't.
I'm sorry. You don't know. None of us know. But Ashley thinks she knows, so let's give her
I mean,
a chance.
I already knew from the start, guys. But okay, so my one thing that kind of doesn't make sense was that picture with the caption saying, well, I guess this could still kind of make sense. Basically, in that picture, I think Jason and Charles are twins, and that Mr. Hastings, remember in the last episode, he said, oh, I used to bring the girls to that apple farm. Jason and Charles see Spencer and say, oh, that's my daddy, da 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 da. But Mrs. D doesn't want the boys to go run back and tell, Mr. DiLaurentis, oh, we saw our daddy at the farm. So Charles can't stop saying it. So what do they decide to do? They're like, well, we have no choice. We have to send him away because he can't shut up about me being his father. And now Allie is going to become an adult and she knows that we had an affair. I don't want her going and talking around about it. So Charles gets sent off to some like mental institution or whatever the hell he wanted to go do. And then Jason grows up, and so does Allie, and they're like, where's our brother at? Hence, Allie goes missing for 2 years. By the way, we still have not heard about that and where she's been. So she finds Jason and her find Charles. And they're like, we want to kind of get revenge on our family, so let's start this whole A thing. The A plan kind of starts to backfire, Allie obviously being in jail, and that's why, actually, when Charles and Spencer saw each other, Charles was a little bit happy to see her because he knew that that was his sister. That's my theory. God knows it doesn't make sense somewhere, but Allie's still A, so I'm happy.
Actually, you had it pretty together.
Yeah, I really did.
Especially the part that Allie
Very
was
surprising.
gone for 2 years because she went to
And
go
Jason
find
disappeared
Charles.
too for a little bit because they're like, oh, Jason, you're back in town. They probably asked Jason to go back first so it didn't look too suspicious.
Okay,
Did you write
so
pretty
I am
well?
actually extremely impressed, Mova.
Thanks,
You
guys.
very
No
well
big
spoken
deal,
with
no big
that.
deal.
I'm going to tell you right now, disclaimer, mine's not going to be that well spoken, but this is what I think. Okay, so I don't believe that Charles and Bethany are the same person. We had talked a lot about this whole transgender thing, which I thought would have been a really, honestly, very unique and very intense, deep storyline for Pretty Little Liars, and I'm kind of disappointed that I don't think that that's true anymore. But I really don't think that Bethany and Charles are the same person. Back in season 1, or like there's a flashback, I don't know, in the beginning of the show, Allison is telling this story about the 2 little girls. They're both dressed in yellow, they're both blonde, and they are arguing over dolls. Does anybody remember this? They're fighting in the kitchen by themselves. And the mom walks in, like it kind of cuts away for a second, and parents walk into the kitchen to find the 2 little girls in the kitchen, and one of them has been stabbed. So basically, Alison was telling a Halloween story. It was a flashback. She's telling a Halloween story. She's basically telling the story about one girl got jealous of the other. They're both like 6 years old or 5 years old in this whatever, and they end up killing the other one. And I mean, that is something that would put any child into a mental institution. So now when Andrea Parker had tweeted that picture saying, "Charles, you naughty boy," my mind immediately thought, Charles must have done something so bad for him to have been sent away. And I think that Charles got sent away. But then I started thinking, okay, maybe it wasn't Charles who got sent away. Maybe there was another person in the picture, and maybe that person was Bethany. I don't think that they can make any sense of Bethany and Charles being the same person now unless Charles takes off that mask and it's a female, which is very, very possible, because a lot of people have been saying, like, why does Charles need to be a girl? And then obviously that picture, or a guy, and obviously that picture comes out and it's 2 guys and a girl, right? But we don't necessarily know. We don't honestly know. Like, I feel like at this point, they could be like, oh yeah, Mrs. D was like holding Alison, and I don't even know. That whole video to me goes so many different ways.
Yeah.
It's hard to just be like, okay, they said this and that's it. But anyways, back to my theory, and I'm rambling. I'm sorry, I'm getting stressed out. But,
What do you mean, girl?
yeah, right? But so what I was thinking was, if Bethany was the one who got sent away, right? Then what if Charles was always trying to protect Alison once Bethany went like rogue or crazy? Because I feel like there is obviously somebody in the show who is trying to help Alison, who is trying to look out for her. Why she survived that night, you know, she says Mrs. Grunwald pulled her out of the grave or whatever, but like obviously somebody has been there with her from the beginning, helping her along. So what if Charles has been helping her and he became like to help her, but Bethany was always the one who we were supposed to be afraid of? Does that make sense at all in any sort of way?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I just feel like at this point it's so hard for them to like make Bethany, Charles, and Sarah Harvey into the same person. Like, how can they do that? Why are there all these different names? That's where I'm getting so thrown off.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely super confused, just like you, but I'm gonna go into my theory, and it definitely does not connect all the dots, but it can lead you in a certain direction. So I'm gonna go ahead and say Ezra. I've said it before. Ezra, I think this is more of like a love story. I think Ezra is completely obsessed with Allie. He loves her, and I know you like Ezra and Aria shippers are gonna hate me, but I don't know. I think he like obviously cared about Aria, but I think it's always been about Alison. So here's why. There's a few things that stuck out at me that is like total red flag for Ezra. Okay, so in the season 4 finale, when they find Allie and all the girls are sitting with Allie and they're talking, and Allie's basically rehashing the entire night it happened. Allie says that, she says, with Ezra's book, it's always been about me, Aria. She's like, flat out said that to Aria, and Aria gets like really depressed. And Allie said, Ezra found Shauna in Georgia because he knew that Shauna and I had been in contact and wanted to find me. Well, we can't explain. Ezra just shows up on the rooftop that night. Like, how did he know where the girls were, right? Unless I'm completely missing something. But he knew that the A figure at the time was Shauna. It was. Shauna was the one that was shooting at the girls on the rooftop. And he says, I know who you are. And maybe it was like Shauna got completely, you know, distracted or so mad at Ezra because maybe they had a deal and it backfired that she shot him really quickly. Ezra also pinned A on Mrs. de Laurentiis. He said that to, I forget who he said it to, but he said it to the girls. He's like, I think that Alison's mom, Mrs. D, is A.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
I think that maybe he was trying to throw them. Where's my other theory? Oh my God, I'm all over the place. But I don't know. If to me, there were... also, really quick, Ezra, that night he first met Alison, he was reading a book called Tender is the Night by S. Scott Fitzgerald. S. Scott Fitzgerald. And it's just weird to me that he's so into literature and his last name is Fitzgerald. Like, I feel like he made that up. I feel like that's not really his name, Ezra Fitzgerald. You know what I mean?
Oh, because of
I think he reads so much, and Ezra probably came from a character that he loves, and then he took Fitzgerald because he's a super popular author, and he like put 2 and 2 together. And I also think Cece and Ezra are working together. I think that they know each other, whether Cece's Bethany or not, I don't know. But I think that they are working together, and I don't think Cece is on Alison's side.
The only thing that I have an issue with the whole Ezra being A thing is, besides the fact that that would break my heart into a million pieces.
I know.
But aside from that, it's just like, how exciting can that reveal be, given the fact that he's already been A?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how Marley and Say they decided who A was going to be in season 3, right? Who Uber A was going to be in season 3. They decided who it was going to be. We already know that Charles is going to be somebody that we know. Can we all kind of agree that with that? When Charles, we finally see Charles, it's not going to be a brand new face. It's going to be somebody who's on the show. The only thing I can't wrap my head around is, like, why would they put us through an entire A reveal and have Ezra making this book and him saying, like, I only took on this character and I was only stalking you guys because I was trying to find Alice and I just wanted to finish this story. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. Just to have it be the exact same thing.
Well, they did the same thing with Toby. We all thought Toby was it, and then we were like, oh, no, he's not. I mean, and didn't we all fall back in love with Ezra? Of course we did.
Yeah, but then how exciting would that be for all Pretty Little Liars if they were like, just kidding. Remember that time we said he was A, but then we took it back? Well, he is.
They never really took it back, though. We all took it back. They never took it back. We took it back.
I just find it hard to believe. That's all. That's a huge red flag.
No, I agree.
For me.
I agree.
Like,
who would you be surprised, though, if when they unmask A? Who would shock you? Ezra would shock me.
Yeah,
Me
it's
too.
true.
Okay, so I know we got to wrap up soon, so I'm going to try to go semi-quickly. FYI, we love each other, but people get so heated about this.
Absolutely.
And I saw.
Do you see how serious we are? Like, usually we're all giggly.
Because think about it. You spend so much time, you spend so much effort coming up with this theory. You piece everything together. You spend 3 hours in the morning or late at night or whatever, just to have someone point out one thing and be like,
Yeah,
I can't.
Yeah, I actually like hate you all right now.
Yeah. So that being said, here's my theory. Feel free to poke holes, okay? So I think that Charles is Ezra. Quick backstory on Charles. I think that he was the illegitimate child of Mrs. D and Mr. Hastings, just like Jason was. But he came first, so Mrs. D was really sketched out, sent him away for adoption. He goes into foster care with guess who? Andrew Campbell and his family. And lo and behold, Mrs. D brings the clan of DiLaurentises to the apple farm. And that's when Charles gets to hang out with his real family. This is why Charles is so obsessed with that one video, because that's the only video he has of him hanging out with his real family. All right, Andrew, of course, is helping Charles because they're friends from back in the foster home day. He bounced around to different foster homes. Eventually, he becomes in a foster home of the super rich Ezra's family people, whatever. Okay, so
Lucky Bunny right there.
Lucky Bunny.
Seriously.
Meanwhile, guess who else is his sister? Bethany, also an illegitimate child. So the twins are Bethany and Charles. Both of them get sent away to adoption. Are you with me? Are you with me?
The twins, the boys that we saw in the video?
No. The boys is Jason, Charles, and Allie. We don't see Bethany in the video, but we know Bethany exists. Bethany and Charles are the twins. And those were the illegitimate children that Mrs. D sent away because she had the affair. Okay, so if you're with me with that, then think like this. Bethany, of course, goes to foster homes, becomes super messed up, ends up in Radley. Lo and behold, who is also in Radley? Marion, Toby's mom.
Yeah,
so
right.
Bethany ends up telling Marion the whole story. Uh-oh, Mrs. D wants to cover that up, so who does Mrs. D kill? Marion. And guess who sees it? Bethany, and draws drawings of it.
Right.
Okay? Meanwhile, Bethany is like, oh my God, I can't, I know all of this stuff. I need to go tell Charles. She tells Charles, those are our real family. And then Ezra, AKA Charles, is like, oh, I want to know what's up in Rosewood. So I'm going to go be a teacher there and spy on everyone. And I really want to spy on Allie, so I'm going to date her. That's the thing that's kind of messed up about this theory, because that would be so wrong.
But he didn't go after Allie. Allie went after Ezra.
Okay, then thank you for revalidating. So we're on track. So that's that's why that happened. And okay, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about it.
Yeah.
It's Ezra.
Okay, but
Yeah.
then with that one, the big hole for me would be how come she sends 2 illegitimate children away, but she's like, Jason, you're cool, you can stay, even though you have already been proven to be a product of.
I think you're onto something. Because I
Maybe
was talking
Jason-
about Mrs. D being the Black Widow. So maybe Charles and Bethany are twins, but not of Mr. Hastings. That the original father passed away, and so maybe Mrs. D got so upset and that her husband died, or maybe was Mrs. D ever in Radley?
Well, she was the board.
She was on the board
to supposedly watch over Bethany because Bethany was in Radley, so
But
she wanted to keep
Bethany
an eye
and
on that.
Ezra being the same age doesn't work though, because for whatever reason we're picturing Bethany to be around Allie's age.
Right.
But do we know she is?
I can't remember off the top of my head if we know.
I feel like
that she
there was
is,
dates, the dates of when Bethany was
on her
alive.
tombstone.
Exactly.
So there we go. So you guys poke holes in this because I'm sure it's not right, but it was a good try.
Honestly,
That was
I
a
feel
good
like
one.
no, it is a good one. I really like it. Honestly, I feel like at this point, there is a million different directions this could be. We could either say that Charles and Bethany are 2 different people. We could say that they are related or not related. We could say that Charles and Bethany are the same person, which is what a lot of people are saying, that they're the same person. So what if we take Charles, he's finally unmasked just to find out it is a girl after all, right?
That would make so much sense because
what if Charles is the baby, Mrs.
No, kiss your sister.
I know.
I know. There's so many holes. There's so many gaps.
I know, but it is so PLL-like to, because they're really starting to be pretty open with the fact that Charles is a guy. They're showing a guy frame. They're saying that his name is Charles, so it would be so PLL to have it be like
A female.
A female.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I still think it's weird about the Cece thing. Like, how weird of a name is Cece? And it is. Could it be short for
anyone's name was Cece.
I start reading tweets like that say stuff like this, and I'm like, that is a stretch.
Isn't there like a
You are
Cece's
pushing
pizza?
it.
Yeah, there is. It's really gross. You can get like everything on the
Oh my
menu
gosh,
for like
I've always
$6.
wanted to go there. That's why I've always wanted to go there.
Don't even waste your time. Honestly, you guys, we've seen it all. We didn't even talk about some of the big ones, but I'm just gonna give them really fast, just like name them off, and you guys can get online using the hashtag PLLAS to let us know. We've kind of tried to steer clear of the more obvious ones, just because everybody's talking about it, but there have been some ones that have come up that we haven't heard a lot, so I'm glad that we got a chance to talk about them today. But we want to know what you guys think about Lucas. We know we've all seen that one YouTube video. It's completely viral. It makes a lot of sense. Or it's not a YouTube video, it's like a blog. Okay. Makes a lot of sense. I could totally see it in so many ways. But I need to figure out the missing holes in that story too. Like, where has he been this whole time, and what the hell was his motive?
And like, would anyone be annoyed that that's not like he is not in every episode, Lucas, nor is Ren.
I'm not convinced it's Lucas.
Honestly,
I'm not convinced
me.
it's Lucas.
I want my Charles to be someone I see all the damn time.
Yeah, I almost think that like Caleb is too small of a character even. Because Hannah's dated a lot of other
The
guys.
reason why I don't think it's Caleb is because of the whole
we saw.
Ravenswood thing. Like, what if Ravenswood took off? Like, Caleb wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
He'd be in.
I
and
want it
we
to be
saw him
literally-
during the research of, when the girls were already gone with A, Caleb was at the police station helping them do some research.
Right. I just want it to be someone big. I really want it to be either one of the liars that would totally blow my mind, or Ezra. He's the biggest, I think, guy character that we have. I almost want to say or Cece, but she's so not that big.
I feel like they had to do the whole Ezra thing to make us not believe it anymore, because we would clearly...
Yeah, I thought of that too. That's so PLL-esque too, right?
Guys, we could literally talk about this.
We can talk about this forever,
yeah,
honestly. Things to remember, though, really fast. We've heard Bethany's voice. It is a female character's voice, unless they explain that was obviously like a joke or another PLL thing to throw us off. We have heard Bethany's voice on a tape saying literally that her file says Mrs. DiLaurentis was having an affair with her father. Now, have we diverted away from that too far? Because we have to remember something happened with Bethany's dad and Mrs. D. Literally, there is a screenshot. If you take the screenshot of the file from Radley, it's literally what it says.
But do we
on
not
there.
know who Bethany's dad is? That's the mystery there?
We don't know who Bethany's dad is.
And if it's someone other than Mr. Hastings, then Mrs. D is just a
Seriously,
hussy.
she needs to calm down.
She needs to calm
down.
She needs to calm
down.
She and Ashley Marin, you guys. Who's worse between the two of them?
Yeah, she needs to literally stop it already because she's confusing us all because she has 7,000 children and
She needs to concentrate on the psychos that she
dads.
already has rather than recreating more psychos.
Yeah, but I think it's a really good, like Marlene King had tweeted, it all comes back to Radley. So like we have to remember that this story started at Radley, the story will end at Radley, and whoever we're trying to find has to do with the Radley Sanitarium. Like that has to be it. And the fact that Bethany was there, Toby's mom was there, Mrs. D was on the board, Mona's been there, Spencer's been there, Aria worked there. Like, let's be real, you guys. Like, this has to be the foundation of the entire plot as a whole.
And
But what that is, I don't even know.
What is it an anagram for again? Radley Sanitarium.
Mary A. DiLaurentis.
Mary A. DiLaurentis, who is Mrs. D, right?
No.
Is her first
No.
name Mary?
Jessica.
No,
Oh,
Jessica.
Jessica. Okay, so Mary.
yeah.
So who's
Yeah,
that?
but I just say, but if you're gonna name a mental institution after somebody, I don't think you're gonna make an anagram for it. You know what I mean? Unless A goes all the way back to when Radley first started, like whenever it was built. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
or the
feel like that's
anagram is
definitely not a
just the
coincidence.
anagram is just for us to use as a clue.
Yeah.
Who knows, you guys? All right, so there you have it. If you have anything, but honestly, you guys, for real, we need to know what you guys think. So hop online, #PLLAS. Obviously, YouTube comments, Instagram. We don't even care. We're just super, super excited to see what you guys all have to say and all your questions. So subscribe to theStream.tv. You guys watch our last after show too for the finale, and we talked a lot about theories then too. But we can't wait to solve this mystery with you guys. So we'll be back. Don't
Season
worry.
6, also stick around for season 6 because we do know a few really important things that are going to happen. We're going to find out the backstory of Charles and Bethany.
And next week we
And
have
we're
a
gonna find
live
out-
show. We have
a live show.
I know, we also have a
live
next
show.
step. We're going to find out literally there's another missing girl that is huge. And then finally, why Charles hates the liar so much. Allie gets out of jail and Rumor Willis is coming back. So stick with us. Stick with Pretty Little Liars.
Boom.
All right, guys. Bye.
Wait, drops much. Hey guys, for more PLLAS, make sure you hit that button and subscribe to theStream.tv.